Hello, Jake Light here, gaming lawyer at your service. We are back with Great Ace Attorney, and I had a small lunch break. A snacks. I was hungry for some reason. I guess Great Ace doing lawyer work makes me hungry. Without further ado, we continue with this trial. What was his voice again? I made him very, very weird and cute instead of intimidating.
We're here today to determine the guilt of innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Is he some sort of like Dracula? I guess. The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried. Those eyes please me, Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb. Sorry, I do not know how to pronounce words. A cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tip of my toes.
No, Mr. McGilded.
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord.
You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
As I always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Even if the fella is a student from some little island off in the Far East. This is not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance. I like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Oh man, why I suck.
Listen to what a fine gentleman that is it. Did you hear that you donated £5,000 to the government today? Please may we go pay the McGilded Park?
It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded. That's definitely welcome news, and he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him.
Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you that you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree. Ha! Any criminals here would soon be wishing they never set eyes on me. Okay. I feel you.
Oh,
Don't mind me, my dears. I just be getting on with my knitting. Let's finish this mitts for my grandson. But you're the jury. You're supposed to listen. Mr. Naruto, those people are the jury. Yes, that's something we don't have in Japan yet. I don't think UK has it, or it might have had it and they abolished it. I think. Explanation. Juries are people who are selected randomly from citizens to determine if a person is guilty or not guilty of any crime. Most of the time, I don't think murder trials. I might be wrong in this. More just thinking off the top of my head. Severity of the trial would make it, how do you say, whether a jury is suitable or not. A murder case, in this sense, I don't think it's suitable for normal people to determine whether they are guilty or not guilty, because it could be very complicated. Yeah, so there's that. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentences according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of views. But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict? That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses. Yes, trials with many irregularities.
Prosecutor Van Zeeks.
My lord.
It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounce your fame.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware?
I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he have to choose today of all days to make a comeback? Don't lose your heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. A summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must be the only ones in here who aren't aware. The incident took place in the late evening. 3 days passed. The hour was some minutes after 10. The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as the thrice-fired mason. Sorry? Thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
Oof.
The
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service of the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard.
Thank you, Consul. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. Appropriate Scotland Yard's cause of the internal Internal hemorrhaging as a result of a single stab wound to the abdomen. A photograph of the victim taken on the omnibus, the knife in his abdomen is clearly visible, but his face is partly obscured from view by an old crooked hat. Okay, let me check that. Armband. Armband customer 8 times there's defense. Okay. Armband. What does it say? Let's read it. Oh, it's his name. Alright, never mind. Looks at the missing button. Raggedy clothes. Sword. Knife. Sorry, knife. Looks weird. Hat. Nothing suspicious. I guess only the button missing, but I'm not sure if that's relevant. Let's continue the game. And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit this as well.
And these are... Good Lord, is that blood, Consul?
Yes, my lord. Seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested. What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them?
Yes, I will accept this as evidence as well.
That gloves were in the sign. There is blood stain on the right glove. Let's look at it. Bloodstain, right glove, anything particular that we want to know about? I guess we'll examine it. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London. Well, nothing will come of grumbling now. No. By the way, is Mr. McGilded right-handed? Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier. Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed. I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really. Can I look at the inside of the glove? No? I guess not. But it's in the palm, so maybe there's something. How do you get this? I'm back into the corner before I even started. Continuing. According to the driver of the omnibus, I'm gonna make him sound like Alucard, because he looks like Alucard. And maybe this is probably not Alucard's voice exactly, but oh else. There were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time. Only 2? Obviously, one of the passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other was the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances, to say the least. Defendant, what say you?
Of course, I have no recollection of such a thing. Mr. McGilded. To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening, but whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it.
Are you claiming to have been asleep?
'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Lilting. So it is. When I opened my eyes again, 'twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I've never laid eyes on before in me life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. So the blood got into the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the drivers is only the beginning. What? That's all of it? There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Order! Order! Order!
Sounds like horror. When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage, and there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once. Three witnesses now. More and more ridiculous. Witnesses, your names and occupations.
My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the Far East End.
Bruce Fairplay. I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First, Lady the First.
What? Lady First. Make hats for gents. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witness to a affirmation incident. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Very well then, let's proceed to your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
Witness statement.
Witness testimony. What do witnesses saw?
It was the last bus of the evening, so I had few customers. I remembered it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. And out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts. That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. Couldn't help it.
As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it too.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Not really unambiguous. Exactly, my lord. This man witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, counsel.
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. How quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations were a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend, have you even traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. Well, only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves. The actual scene of the crime, that is. What? Do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much. Yes. The omnibus in which this bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage? Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses and carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside the enclosed cabin, and another 4 on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. And I should point out to you, our foreign guests, that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Ah, a skylight? Oh! The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. That makes perfect sense.
Well, counsel, that is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom.
Oh, that's fake hair. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence. That is the prosecution's wish.
Very well. I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
Omnibus has been entered into a courtroom record. The same kind of principle since I on the roof, and then I can't believe it. I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered in as evidence. Let's look at it. Yes, I can look at the entire thing. Let's see. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. Oops. I can't find anything exactly. Seats. So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London streets from up here. So people sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air brushing past them, and they have to pay money to do so. Urgh. I can't imagine how cold it must feel. That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as punishment? Perhaps there is a real price you pay to stay out late. Is this the same? Okay, it's the same. Alright. Let's look inside. Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we? Ugh, the scene of a murder. It's horrible. Blood is over here. Would they have seen it? That's blood that's soaked into the seat, the victims obviously. Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck. Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that? I wonder. But it was after dark, and there was a lamp on in here, so perhaps the culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight. Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. What's this? Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start in 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition. Oh, that Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such grand event. What's this? This seat has a handle, it seems. Ooh, okay. What's this? Seems like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running. Fitting tubs, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. There's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems. There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure. Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway. Is there something I can examine? Nope. How about here? Alright, same thing. Okay, let's close this up. Let's... Alright, let's look at... Nothing over here. Okay. How about this seat? The seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. Only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side really. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here. A woman in kimono would have the same problem. A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Right? Let's go out. You've seen enough. Let's step back outside then. Yeah, so blood is over there. I guess you can see it in a way. Phoenix Wright Omnibus. I can't click on it. Why is it named like that? Phoenix Wright. Right. I don't see anything else important. Alright, let's move on. I could help myself by a lot by giving those through anything as there.
Let us continue with proceedings then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. Alright, my first cross-examination in a British court. Oof. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus! What the witnesses saw? Okay, let me... Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged like this, like that. Tried to stab in, I screamed, I did, I couldn't help it. I heard the scream, I stopped my bus, and then I saw it to press this. What exactly did you see?
Oh, well, sir,
That would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapse on the floor. He was. No reactions. I don't think that's a reaction. Right? Yeah. And by the passenger, obviously you are referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker.
And the other passenger had that knife.
I don't know how to read his voice again.
A knife in his hand like this.
By the other passenger, obviously you are referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded.
And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
What?
My lord.
Juror
Number 3, what's the meaning of this?
My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up. Made up about what? I don't like the stinking rich. Never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be. Every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. What? There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. It's my opinion on the matter anyway. Sounds like only a murderer would say that.
That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example to my fellow jurors.
What is happening here? Let me see. Ah yes, it seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdicts. With fire? Apparently, yes. White for innocence and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scales of justice, as we saw a moment ago. So if those enormous scales falling completely to the black side, does that mean? Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen. Ugh, now I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
This is a nightmare. Alright, so when it happened, the only 2 people in the enclosed cabin area were the victim and the defendant. And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed a man trying to do the deed. I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation here. Ugh. What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. Gilded really innocent? Or could it be? Before we jump to conclusions, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment. Yes, you're absolutely right. Let's listen to those witnesses same as again, a little more carefully this time. And with that, we are out of time. Thank you for watching. I hope you are enjoying this. Yeah, so this is interesting. I can't figure out what exactly is the gap, is the loophole, is the contradiction. So we'll find out next episode. So thank you for watching again. Take care, stay hopeful, but be critical. Bye bye.